This is episode 0 of Conan the Thief, in which we will be setting the stage for the Conan the Thief campaign that is starting next week. So, my name is James. I will be your intrepid game master running the game. And why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hey everybody, I'm Brad Kishbaugh. I'll be playing Kalimir Shaka, Zamoran Master Thief, who's a sad sack with a lazy eye.
Oh,
My name's Frank Bolin. I'll be playing the part of Criven the Assassin, a curious guy who's got the scars to prove it.
My name is Justin Giuliani, and I will be playing Ramesh the Fence, who is a well-traveled and supportive snake oil salesman.
nice. And my name's Emily. I'm going to be playing Ulrika Tervingi, a relic hunter who has honed her skills on picking out gems from among the rubble.
Excellent. So, we made these characters a few weeks ago, and we want to know how they're all connected, what their Thieves Guild is like. And we decided the best way to do this, we're going to use Lame Mage Productions' game Microscope to build a history of the Thieves Guild and kind of set the scene for the story that's going to take place next week and beyond. For those of you unfamiliar with Microscope, it's a great little indie RPG. I would totally recommend it. There's a link in our description as to where you can find the book. But it is a history-building game where instead of you don't really take control of a character or anything like that, you in turn, player by player, work on the history of, well, name it, an empire, a world, a family, whatever you want, really. It's really flexible for that. And you can then zoom in to the different periods of that to add finer and finer detail. But we'll get into more of that as we go. I'm sure everyone will pick it up pretty easily. Traditionally, it's played with index cards, but as we are all in different places in the world, country, what have you, we are going to be using a Google Doc to keep track of the history. So the first thing we need to do is we need to determine the big picture. In a sense, the big picture is one sentence that is a good summary of the story that we want to tell. So this is going to be pretty big for the players because this is going to, perhaps more than anything else we do tonight, define the Thieves Guild at least a little bit. This is the most concrete it's going to get. So some of the examples that they have in the book for other things, not necessarily Thieves Guilds: an ancient empire rises and falls. Cavemen at the dawn of time found the first civilization. Mankind leaves the sick earth behind and spreads out to the stars. So we're looking for something like that. Something that's not super exacting, but will accomplish what we want to do here. So, give me your thoughts.
I like the idea of there being multiple Thieves Guild and there being, like a competition amongst them. Maybe not a competition so much as a rivalry. Maybe even bloodshed. How does everybody else feel? What are they seeing?
So one of the things that Conan has you do when you do character creation is you roll to pick a war story or like a piece of your history. And so I really like that my character and Brad's character both ended up with the history piece of planned and executed a complicated heist to perfection. And I wonder if like we could start with the that maybe in the past there was some heist that really put this guild on the map.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure what everybody's age is, but my character is like, or that being said, like what the average age of someone in Eternia is.
I'll have you know, a Typoborea, and I think the average age is around like 12. If you made it to 15, you're a ripe old age.
Okay, well, we're playing Tales from the Loop already. Okay, so like I don't know if everybody else is kind of playing on the younger spectrum of things like that, but I kind of viewed it as like a younger, fresher guild that's maybe like out to prove itself, like has a bit of a reputation going already, but isn't like the biggest competitor out there.
I was almost kind of more thinking it could be something like all the guilds were like relatively at peace, and then there was some kind of change of hands, and now all the guilds are kind of at war with each other and striving to be the best or something like that. Was kind of what I was
Like
thinking.
that.
So we got a lot of ideas out here.
Mhm.
Just going with the things that you've put out there so far. Maybe there was a lot of guilds, or a few major guilds or whatnot that were all at peace, and something happened to shake that up. That perhaps involved the birth of your current guild, which is new and smaller, maybe striving to make a name for itself amidst the rubble and confusion that's going on, which may involve a notable heist. Just spitballing here.
The heist could have caused the friction, perhaps.
It could have.
Okay, but there was like some kind of big culling, basically. I like that.
So maybe maybe for our big picture, we could have something along the lines of a major heist upsets the established order, resulting in
warring guilds, thieves guilds.
Yeah,
I'm just
or
wondering-
like out of the ashes of conflict between thieves, a new powerhouse rises.
Ooh.
that's pretty good. I think that's vague
Yeah.
enough too.
Nice.
Very nice.
Emily has a way of polishing our ideas pretty well.
I'm an editor. What can I say?
Oh, and you're even typing it
Well,
out. Thank you.
you're pretty good at it.
So for those looking for freelance editing work,
Yeah.
so that's great. That's going to give us a great start. So next, pardon, we have our big picture. We're going to make some bookends. So the bookends are going to be our starting era, or starting period, and ending period. And so a period in this game is a very large chunk of time, possibly decades or centuries. However, it's all relative.
It's undefined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not concrete. It's really what you want it to be. But the important thing I think to take away from it is that in this game, a period is your biggest piece of time. If you're getting too exacting with something, it's probably not a period. It should discuss big sweeping changes and big sweeping things. So,
Frank's character and my character both have a mentor, a shared mentor. We could go back that far, maybe the establishment of the guild initially, or we could start where all of the characters are in the guild.
me personally, I'm feeling it like we start even before the guild even started. We started
Okay.
with
The,
the events leading up to.
Yeah, the way it's set up right now, it kind of seems like that there's the before time, and then there's the conflict, and then there's the aftermath, basically.
Right.
At this, based off that sentence, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too. So I think our first, because we're gonna need 2 periods here. We're gonna need our starting period and our ending period. I feel like our starting period should be something along the lines of that initial conflict, or maybe that initial heist, if that's what we decide is starting it off.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I also like the idea of kind of exploring the lay of the land, so to speak, before this conflict, and then maybe our ending period could be, I mean, we could
Like the
make
present?
the ending period like the four of us start working together or set off on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, given a mission by some new master or our current master
Yeah, in my
at the
mind,
time.
the ending period would be like the beginning of the quest, the present day. But that doesn't necessarily have to be true either. You know, it might be an interesting game to play, even knowing that how it's going to end. You know, but
Yeah. Actually, I mean, it could end before we were even born, right?
Yeah.
Like the
It could,
very
sure.
creation of the guild that we're in, not necessarily the history of the guild. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of it ending, our ending point being the present when our characters pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So like, how far after the dust settles from? I guess would be the question. Like, how far after the dust settles from this event, from the big picture, we want to start?
Sam, do you mean like our beginning period for this, or
I mean, like, our ending period would be like the night after the conflict happens, or like months after when everything's kind of settled a little bit more, or like years after. Like, I don't know.
well,
Are we going into
Maybe I'm too far ahead.
Or maybe we could start at the beginning of like the creation of our guild, which may have very well have like kicked off with this event that started all this friction
Yeah.
or something.
maybe a
Like
revolution?
our guild is like a bunch of rogues from the other guilds who got together and were like, let's knock some shit over, man. You know?
Yeah, maybe the rebels of that started a revolution in the town.
okay. What
There's
if
like cool. Go ahead.
what if okay, so I'm getting a feeling like, for the most part, it seems like your characters came from different guilds. They were thieves before your guild started, which I guess doesn't necessarily have to be true for everyone. But I'm getting a feeling like that might be true for at least some of you. So what if it was something along the lines of, you were all involved in a job together, not necessarily from the same side though, right? Maybe you're all sent to steal a certain thing, or maybe one of you stealing from another one, or part of you were guarding it, or there's a big rush to fill some sort of vacuum that you're all stealing a thing or killing someone or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it is you ended up stealing, or whoever it was you ended up killing, started this revolution. Like, it totally upset the established order. It threw everything out of whack. Maybe it was something arcane and every wizard and their eye teeth needed it. Or maybe it was something arcane and it was the only thing keeping the balance of power between various wizards in this accursed city, or something like that, right? And so, yeah, then there's revolution, war in the streets. Maybe something happens to your guilds. That's something we can figure out somewhere in the middle to get us to the end place. But it seems like all roads for this beginning scene are pointing toward that initial assassination or heist or whatever. Anyone disagree with that?
No, I'm into it.
Yeah, it sounds
Sure.
pretty rad.
And speaking of arcane stuff, I actually part of my story is that I helped rob some kind of temple or something, and I have like a I have this archaic knife that I got from it.
Cool. So it seems like
Throwing
it
that out
could,
there.
And if this helps at all, my war story is that I gained the favor of a local lord through selling stuff and things like that. So if we need to have a local lord that kind of hooked us up or is like maybe a patron,
Ooh,
also
what
put
if
that into it.
what if that local patron is maybe initiated the upheaval?
Okay.
Like he wanted to take power, and he used the Thieves Guild in order to, so it was kind of a hand in hand
Mm.
type deal. But he tried to remain keep his hands clean.
so
Sounds like a coup happened.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking something along the lines for the starting period of a temple heist starts the great upheaval. And then we can flesh that out more as we go.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, so our era number 1. A temple heist starts a great... Hey, spelling. Upheaval.
James, is there any background to this city
so
that we should start from?
I mean, it's pretty light. The game's going to be set in Zamora the Cursed. There's a lot of temples there. So, there. Now you know. That's something you know now.
Okay. It's in Zamora.
Yeah. So, we got a statement for our beginning era. The next thing we need to do is figure out if we consider that light or dark. I can see that going either way. Like, my initial thought is like, well, obviously it's dark, upheaval, there's a heist, but it could also have been a great time of opportunity too. So I guess that all depends on how you all want to see that. Was this the start of your trouble or the start of your fortune?
Maybe it was the start of our guild with the help of mine and Brad's mentor and stuff, who's, I imagine, some kind of badass.
I mean, the name of the game is Conan the Thief, so I feel like anything that makes it easier for us to be thieves would be a pro thing in our mind.
Yeah.
All right, so we are seeing this as positive.
Yeah, I agree. I see that as a positive also. Like, it's out of this chaos come all sorts of opportunities for us.
Awesome. All right, so we got our starting period, and it is positive. So now we need to figure out our ending period. What your current day looks like. Which, geez, that might even be bigger than the start.
I guess. What?
So I kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, what's our mission? Like, if we're gonna try and end in like the present, does that matter at all? Should we know generally how it's gonna start, or?
I mean, I don't.
Or are we starting right there?
Yeah, I'm.
There you go.
I didn't plan on planning anything until after this session because I really wanted. I wanted to see what you all wanted it to be, what we all made it start as. You know what I mean? So as of right now,
okay.
This whole story that we're gonna start is gonna be a blank slate.
Sweet. All right.
So,
I kind of like. I want to know what level the Thieves Guild had in terms of like controlling Zamora.
Zamora.
Yeah, I want to know. So I want to know what like were Thieves Guilds like openly running everything in Zamora, or was it like the government is like, oh, you Thieves Guilds, ooh, get you the last thing I do. Like
somewhere in between, but closer to the latter. Everyone knows that it's the Thieves Guilds are really what holds the most sway. It's a city of thieves. But on occasion, I'm sure an example would need to be made if someone overstepped their bounds.
Okay, so they kind of had their hands in a lot of pockets, basically.
Indeed.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the temples are now converted into thieves guilds and things, temples of old.
So I guess like, do we want to have a thing where like the thieves guilds are still kind of at war with each other?
Yeah,
Like-
I like that.
Kind of a Cold War KGB thing?
Mm.
You know?
I would think so. Like if we were all involved in this heist, and like we're all still alive and stuff, I can't imagine it all blew over, and we're probably
Yeah.
only looking at 5 to 10 years here,
Yeah.
Okay,
between the heist and now. So I would think there's still turmoil.
that sounds good.
I agree.
So
Maybe the end is we started our own guild and now we're making moves,
yeah,
or at least found a guild that we liked and
mhm,
maybe joined 2 guilds.
allied ourselves with this guild.
And
And now we're off to go.
I
Go
personally
on.
kind of like the idea of like the 4 of you are starting this fledgling guild. I don't know if that's our ending period or something that happens in the middle, and we're starting a little further along than that. But it could go either way.
So we're our own guild. We're not. We don't work for other people. Is what you're saying?
I know. Ultimately,
Mhm.
it's up to y'all. But that's kind of what I'm envisioning from this. But not envisioning as a GM, just envisioning as a listening to
Okay.
all
Yeah.
this talk back and forth.
Okay, so do we want to be do we want to be the top dog in the city, or do we want to be the Bad News Bears? You know what I mean?
I'm always a
Um,
bigger fan of underdog stories. I
Yeah.
think it's more fun playing the guys that need more help than being the guys that
Yeah.
have it all.
Uh huh.
I like the idea of like maybe like over the years we've become a well-established guild, and maybe now we're like seeking an alliance with a bigger guild,
Mhm.
or even a
that could be
similar sized one.
that could
Yeah.
be a
I
great
mean-
end.
We did.
Yeah.
We did
The-
pull off the heist.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, like we were all there,
Yeah.
Or that, like, Frank, I like what you just put out there of like we're seeking an alliance. We've established ourselves, and we're now ready to either seek an alliance with another guild or like extend an olive branch, perchance. Like maybe there's a job that's too big just for one guild, and we have to figure out how to like work with others.
I
Mhm.
like that. Oh, I like that.
I'm into it.
Yeah, like make peace with another guild to
Right.
take on a larger guild, or even just pull off some job that'll benefit all of us in the end or something.
Yeah.
Diplomacy, man.
Okay, so here's a big question. Because I'm envisioning this ending error statement being something along the lines of blank guild extends the olive branch to other blank guild to work on something of mutual benefit or something like that.
James, are you about to tell us we have to come up with a name?
Yes.
Yeah,
So maybe our ending point should be us like starting the game, us looking for another guild to join. You know what I mean?
yeah. So
Or
No.
to partner with, you mean?
Yeah, like we'll start the game with us trying to find who our partner's gonna be and kind of play
Mhm.
like American Idol with them a little bit.
So you don't have a specific one in mind that you're going to offer an olive branch to. You're thinking more like you don't know who it's going to be and you're holding auditions.
Yeah.
Like it's up in the air
Mhm.
which guild we're gonna ally with. Yeah, because I guess we don't know much about all these guilds
And also, I'll
quite
be
yet.
honest, from a GM perspective, I like the idea more of you're going to this specific guild to offer an olive branch to work on this specific task. But that's from the.
You just don't want to make up all the guilds, admit it.
Yeah.
Why do you think we're playing this game first?
See, it works perfectly. All you need is 2 guilds: the bad guys and the people we're trying to be friends with.
The other bad guys who aren't as bad.
There could be a bunch of other like minor guilds.
All right. The blue lasers and the red lasers.
And then we're the green lasers.
Yep.
So
Up and coming youngsters.
tell me what those green lasers' names are, and we'll craft a sentence here.
Should have a cool name like the Guild of Shadows or something.
Seems appropriate for Conan.
Like the dark hand. Let us give you a hand.
That's our motto.
Yep.
That's what we
Looks like
write
you
under our
could use
logo.
a hand, and then give him a little card, a dark hand. Eh?
Yeah, the Shadow Bringers or something
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm. Or maybe something relative to the fact that we're all like rogues who started our own guild. Something like something. I don't know.
So the the Zamora cult isn't it a good one? Or Zamora giants?
The more mongooses.
Yeah, badgers.
The rattlesnakes.
We could also go like with like a really like legit like the Zamora trade concern or something, and make us sound like we're all on the up and up all the time.
It's just a shell company.
Yeah.
Ooh, that might be actually a cool idea. One of the
Like we
guilds
own a
being
front or
like,
something.
yeah, that it's like
Yeah.
a merchant's guild of thieves. You're a snake salesman.
Yep, I am a fence.
Maybe there can be
I would
other-
be able to move stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um.
And we also have our relic hunter and our super thief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's a storefront where we sell antiques and artifacts from
Yeah, we
archaeological
procure, we
digs.
move stuff, we we do it all for the right price.
Right. Hmm.
By the way, I don't know if you hear the sound of dogs barking in the background, but I have 1 million dogs in my house, so there's always the sound of dogs barking.
1 million dogs. That sounds
That sounds
That's
great.
a lot of that, man.
Yep.
Sign me up.
Sounds like an army
Yeah,
of
man,
dogs.
Yeah.
So okay, so maybe you have a storefront, maybe you don't. What are y'all gonna be called?
If we maybe we could be called something like the Shadow Hands or like the Million Hands or something. We
Ooh.
steal stuff and sell it and
Yeah.
moving goods. Maybe that's like our main trade is actually getting a hold of rare goods and finding buyers with our fence and stealing relics with our relic hunter.
Yeah.
How about the hands of fortune?
Ooh.
Ooh.
How about the million hands of fortune? No? Yes? No?
1 million hands of fortune?
I like Thousand Hands of Fortune better personally, but
1,000.
Hmm.
Yeah.
million just seems a little much.
Yeah, maybe scale seems a bit much, I guess, for...
Like we're trying too many hands, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
How
Like
many
somebody's
people are
gonna
even
hear
in the
that
guild?
name and be like, I don't know if they really have that many hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
That
coming
seems
up
mean,
with
there's probably what, like
who's coming up with that
70
work
hands.
schedule?
Yeah. Like, think about making the sign. The sign for our place. It's going to be way easier to put 1,000 hands on it than 1 million hands on it.
You got a good point.
Yeah.
All right, 1,000 hands of fortune, so say we all.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
All right.
That's ours?
That's
Ours?
us.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
1,000 hands of fortune.
Eventually, we'll have people come up with slang for us, like "you thou hands think you just run the place."
So
Mhm.
1,000 hands
Yep.
of fortune offer an olive branch to...
Ooh.
Dirty
I
jerks.
I think we should go for not the largest guild, but the second largest guild,
Yeah.
because they'll be looking to take down the largest one.
That seems legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
That does seem
They got the
legitimate.
most loot.
Mhm. What, like, if we are more specializing in the capture and sale of rare artifacts, does this guild we're extending an olive branch to have a specialty? Like, are they more
Yeah.
I would think they would.
assassiny? Are they more like pure financial? Are they highwaymen brigands who like
I mean, is there like a
attack
guild of
tradesmen?
whispers and secrets and stuff? Hmm.
Yeah, maybe it's a guild of like mobsters and strongmen or something.
Ooh.
And we're trying to take on maybe the guild that has the most sway in the government,
Mm.
And
like in the local dealings.
the Guild of Whispers just kind of sounds cool.
Yeah. Because they would have all the information on relics to find.
It's true.
Alright. So, are we going with it? The Guild of Whispers?
They're who we're making peace with.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Anyone opposed?
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah. Hope we're ready for
Should-
Careless Whisper references later.
Always.
Yep.
Should we define the third major guild that we might be going to war with, or is that necessarily a thing at this point, or
I think we can
maybe figure that out later?
Yeah, I think we can figure that out as we go. It might come up in the other histories we're gonna write. So
Coolio.
the Thousand Hands offering this olive branch, I imagine you're going to be seeing as a. It sounds like you're all writing it as a potential opportunity. So I'm thinking this is going to be a positive thing as well, as far as light and dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I would say so.
Yeah.
We're riding the fame of our heist to be like, you want us in your guild because we can procure what others can't. You know.
Sounds great.
And we can move it too.
Yep. We're the guys.
So we have our
Yeah.
bookend. Next up, we are going to make our last decision as a group. If you go to the first page, of this document,
Mm-hmm.
there is a palette. And the palette is going to be things of which we can decide, yes, we do want this, no, we don't want this. So it's gonna be our chance to be like, this is something we definitely want this story to have involved in it. This is something we don't want this story to have involved in it, right?
Okay.
We're gonna go round robin, right?
Yes, so I think I wrote everyone's names in this a little farther down. James, Emily, Brad, Frank, Justin. I'm thinking just for ease of simplicity, since there's an actual order written there, that's the order we can move the play in. Anyone opposed to that?
I'm gonna do it.
Seems good.
Go for it.
Okay, so, pardon. What we're going to do here is each player is going to get the option to either add something when it's their turn, add something into the yes or the no column. And you can add one thing. And we'll go around the table until someone decides not to add something to the column. And then we'll finish out that round and we'll be done with the palette. So if it's a yes, it's something that this history can always contain. It's something you can always put in. It's never inappropriate. If it's a no, it's something we can never add into our history.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna take a really easy way out here and do a no-brainer. For the first yes, we are going to do an arcane artifacts.
Ooh.
Because
Nice.
obviously those should be involved, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously
Super.
that I was planning on doing that as well.
Mm-hmm. You were gonna do something about magic too? Oh.
How unexpected.
Yeah.
It could be an arcanist.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
At Marie?
I'm gonna say that this history won't involve mercenaries.
Okay, we're keeping it local. No mercenaries.
Nice. I like that.
My turn. I'm gonna say yes. Freaking assassinations. Frank?
Man, those are all really good.
Yeah, we're gonna have some magic, of course. We're gonna have some death, but no one's paying anyone else to do it. Damn it!
Keep this in house.
Hmm. I'm gonna go to yes and put fallen guilds, like a
Ooh.
bunch of guilds that there were a bunch more and now there's a lot less. So the potential for some kind of massive shrinking down of guilds and consolidation of power.
I like that it's plural too. That there's multiple.
I am going to say that there is. I'm going to say no. No magic for commoners. So those that have magic are it's like for higher ups only. So the common man doesn't have access to magic for things.
So these arcane artifacts that you all are stealing, that means they belong to someone important.
That's why it's a big deal that we're moving them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's back at the top. Given the name of the game, this might be heresy, but I'm gonna go with no barbarians.
Ooh,
Ooh.
how dare you?
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're
You've gone too far, sir.
We're gonna keep it all in the civilized lands, which is a bit different than other games of this we've played.
But when will we get to say Conan?
All the time.
I'm gonna
I
say
hope so.
no leaving Zamora. Like
Oh.
keep it in Zamora. These unless somebody's opposed to that.
Like this is all local guild warfare in
Yeah.
Zamora.
Well, I mean, going for like hunting for magic artifacts and stuff would just have to mean that Zamora is a ruin-rich country, basically.
Or maybe we weren't robbing a ruined place at all.
Yeah.
That stuff comes into Zamora, and it's a matter of finding the right caravan and ambushing it. Or
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's not everything comes from Zamora, but everything goes through Zamora.
So, keep it. It's the same. Keep it local.
No leaving.
Yeah. I mean, why would you need to?
Yeah.
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 When the place is called Zamora the Accursed, why would you want to go on vacation?
Right?
Sounds great.
All right, Frank, you got anything else you want to add?
Got arcane artifacts, assassinations. Honestly, I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
And I would also note that anything we put in this list is going to pertain to our histories we're writing now, and not necessarily the quest we're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So these are just things that we have to look at when we're creating this history. And yeah, Frank, you don't necessarily. You could also opt out, and that just means Justin gets to add a thing, and then we're done. It's up to you.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
It sounds like Brad really wants to add something else.
you want to take my turn, Brad, and then we'll stop
No,
after Justin?
Nope.
That's the thing about Microscope. It's important to come up with ideas, but it's also like you gotta be able to let them go, and that's tough sometimes.
Just tell them what your idea rhymes with, Brad.
Gravery.
Yes to savory food. I love it.
Yeah, that sounds.
Right.
So are you passing, Frank, or are you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass.
Okay.
I got nothing. Sorry.
It's all good.
I am going to say yes to a thieves code.
Yeah, that's good.
So like if you like request parlays or something like that, like there's considered a certain amount of honor amongst thieves or things like that. So it's not just being, you can invoke things or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. I really like that. That's really good.
Maybe that's why one of the older guilds fell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They broke the code.
This
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like kind of drowy almost a little bit. So like maybe it's like the whole like if you're gonna assassinate somebody, don't get caught. Like as long as it's done under the radar, no, and then it's fine. But if you get caught doing it, then your whole guild gets in trouble. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, like it's a great disrespect,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that Microscope is going to be suited to figuring out that code. But we might find out pieces of it through Microscope, and we can also I don't know, maybe have a text conversation between about what else we want to keep. But I think we can definitely get pieces of it out, especially in the scenes. Cool.
Yep.
So we have our palette, things that we are always allowed and encouraged to include in these histories: arcane artifacts, assassinations, fallen guilds, a thieves' code, things that we are in no way ever allowed to have. No mercenaries, no magic for commoners, no barbarians, and no keep it local, no leaving Zamora is basically what that is.
That's what.
Yeah.
No not keeping it local. Cool. So that's it. That's the end of our group decisions. I hope you all enjoyed working this out together, because now this is more of a solitary thing. So we're going to do our first pass. And for our first pass, everyone is going to be able to either add a period between any two periods, i.e. you can add a period between a temple heist starts a great upheaval and 1,000 hands of fortune, yada yada. Or you can add an event. And an event is basically goes under a period, in the sense that, like, if you wanted to talk about who hired you for that initial temple heist or something like that, that would be an event that goes underneath that period, which would be indented a little. So we're each going to get to decide one of these for our first pass, and then we'll get into the game proper.
Okay.
So, let's see here. That puts me up first. I think I am... Period or event? Period or event? Well, we've talked about our ideas about some of the guilds crumbling. So I'm going to start an event. New alliances are formed. New guilds grow from the ashes. So that's going to be a period, and we can get into the more exactness of that as we go. But that's going to be my period.
Okay.
All right. So next up.
Is that indented one?
No, that's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be just as period as the other ones.
Okay.
But if we get anything more exact under there, like the Thousand Hands of Fortunes, yada blah 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 blah, will be indented under there.
Got it.
All right. So what do you got, Emily?
I'm going to go with an event. It's going to be part of the temple heist period.
Nice.
I like that.
The leader of the Shadowbreakers is caught trying to enter the Temple of Ishtar.
Whoa, Shadowbreakers! What are you doing
Whoa.
there?
You can't just go into the thing of Ishtar. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, have some
Um,
decency.
Mm.
Are there gods or religions that are more known for being kind of arcane inclined that we should use instead of Ishtar?
I mean, there's always Set. Set seems to be the default. And there's older religions as well, but I think Set is the default of like evil arcane people.
Okay.
Yeah. So are the Shadowbreakers like the big guild? The
I think so.
HDIC?
Yeah. That's kind of how I like. We can figure it out, but yeah, I conceived of them as being like they really shouldn't. It's not like them to be getting caught, basically. So I'm gonna make that a negative, because they got caught and they're Shadowbreakers. You should know better.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so that puts us with Brad.
I'd. Oh, the Temple of Set. Okay. I'd like to see the new alliances are formed, new guilds grow from the ashes. An event where peace is brokered between the smaller guilds to overthrow the what would you call that? The Shadowbreakers? Are they the
They're the big guys.
big
Yeah.
guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowbreakers. Okay.
Cool. So like a guild of guilds. All right. So Frank, you are up.
And so what do we got so far? For some reason, the doc's not updating for
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. So yeah, Frank has been having some computer issues lately that we're trying to overcome, but holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So far we have the beginning period of a temple heist starts a great upheaval, and that is followed by a event. The leader of the Shadowbreakers is caught trying to enter the Temple of Set. Then we have the period new alliances are formed, new guilds grow from the ashes, followed by a dark event. Peace is brokered between the smaller guilds to overthrow the Shadowbreakers. And then our ending period, the Thousand Hands of Fortune, offer an olive branch to the Guild of Whispers.
I'll put a period right before the end. The Thousand Hands of Fortune establish their storefront and begin major dealings and start expanding their influence, becoming a more major guild.
Okay, so the Thousand Hands of Fortune establish their storefront. Period? Or do you want me to add more to that statement?
No.
Cool.
I guess that's good enough.
All right.
Keep it vague,
do you
That
view
sounds positive to me.
Yeah, right? But it's up to you,
Yeah,
Frank. Do you view that as
for
positive
sure.
or negative?
I think it'll be positive.
And that was the beginning of the end.
Hmm?
All right. That puts it on Justin.
I will put in my computer. Work with me, thank you. I'm gonna put in an event before this, and it's gonna be called the Night of the Blood Moon, when like a bunch of the guilds fell all at once, and people were like overtly being slaughtered in the streets and stuff like that, like riotous
Ooh.
act. Yeah.
Oh.
Brutal.
The Night of the Blood Moon. All right. Well, first pass is done, and we have some things to work with here. Some good, some bad, a little bit of ominous shit. So I feel like before we get, because this has all been set up for the game, which is also all set up, I feel this is probably a good place to take a little break.
Okay.
Lovely.
So we, as we go and do our things, we will regale you with some. So next week, well, possibly next week. I feel like this might end up being a 2-part episode, but we're going to be doing a little.
What's the normal runtime for one of these bad boys?
Usually around like 3 hours ish.
Right on.
Yeah.
So eventually, either next week or the week after, we're going to start the Conan the Thief proper game, and we'll be running Conan: Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. Is the name of the system by Modifius, and it's absolutely fantastic. So here is a little video Modifius put together about their awesomeness.
includes industry veterans as well as newcomers, with the most incredible lineup of Conan artists ever, with people like Brom, Tim Truman, Esteban Maroto, Mark Schultz, Thomas Giorello, San Julian, Liam Sharp, Paolo Parente, Alexei Bricklot, Carl Critchlow, Frolian Gardner, Tom Greinberg, Alex Hawley, Simon Bisley, Val Merrick, Jorge Barrera, Darren Barder, Giorgio Baroni, Josh Hass and Michael Sirigos, all under the watchful eye of world-renowned Conan experts and scholars. They're working together to bring you the most authentic Conan role-playing experience yet, focusing exclusively on Robert E. Howard's original stories. We're going to be using Modiphius' 2D20 game system, also seen in Mutant Chronicles, Infinity, and the John Carter role-playing games. The Conan version has been playtested by hundreds of groups throughout 2015, and the core rulebook will contain everything you need to play original characters in the Hyborian Age.
Follow me into an ancient and exotic world. Fight terrible monsters, alien horrors, hordes of enemies and fiends, mortal and otherwise. Journey across the frozen north. Explore the eastern steppes. Brave the wild jungles of the south. And tread the jeweled thrones of the earth beneath your own sandaled feet.
All right. So yeah, it's a great system. One of my favorites, the 2D20 system by Modiphius, and they use it really well in Conan, and I'm excited to start playing this game. However, we're not there yet. We're still figuring out what this game is about. So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for your patience. So we've had our initial run through. We've got our palette, we know what we need to include, we know what we need to not include. So the next thing is we're going to start in Microscope proper, which is a lot like what you've seen so far, in that we're going to be expanding the periods and also the events. We also have the opportunity now to do scenes as well. And scenes are little scenes, like scenes happen in events. Such, for instance, under the Night of the Blood Moon, a Night of Riots and Bloodshed, that marked the end of many smaller guilds. And that maybe we could have a scene that is, what did the Shadow Breakers steal that started the riot? Something like that, right? At which point we all get to pick characters and actually play it out. But that's, we'll get there when we get there. So at the moment, we get a lens, and the lens, since I'm at top of the list, Mr. Special over here, is going to be me. And the lens is going to declare a focus, and the focus is basically telling everyone in this round what we're going to deal with in regards to all of our histories and whatnot we pick. So it kind of gives us a theme, right? So let's see. We have a lot of good ideas so far.
Are we back?
Oh yeah, hey,
Or
we're
am I-
back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Oh.
And I am coming through okay, right?
Yes.
Crumbling Keith, we're still learning what we're doing. So let's...
We're getting better every day, man.
Yeah. Doing great.
Yeah, we've only
Technical
had
difficulties under 10 minutes.
Oh,
right? Like,
Yeah,
just down there.
that's pretty good.
No, like half the game.
I don't think
I
we
mean-
paused once. It's just that...
I mean, you always just plan for technical difficulties whenever you're doing anything online. That's what I've learned. Just assume that something will go wrong during the amount of time.
Murphy's Law applies to everything.
Yep.
All right, so the lens we're going to be looking at everything through, or looking through what we're dealing with this round. Everything will have to deal with something arcane. So, be it a new period, be it an event, be it a scene, it'll have to do something with the arcane. So, when you're the lens, you get one other power. If you want, you can make two things, one of them nestled inside the other. For instance, I could make a new period with an event inside. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'm that inspired at the moment. But, let's see. We got all this good stuff. What do we want to add?
Something arcane.
Something arcane.
Something arcane.
Should there be like one power source that kind of like, if you're in control of this, you kind of run everything arcane speaking? Like the orb or the, pool of mana or something.
Well, perhaps.
Yeah.
And arcane artifacts are open.
Yeah.
Tessel Gan of the Shadowbreakers
Ooh.
Ooh.
enters the inner sanctum of the Temple of Set. So that's going to be my event during that temple heist, which I might want to explore a little further in a bit, but I don't think I want to nestle a scene in there just yet.
Question.
Answer.
Do you want that to happen after the leader of the Shadowbreakers is caught trying to enter the temple?
Oh, you have a point. Okay, that would probably be before that.
Yeah, is Tesselgan the leader of the Shadowbreakers?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
All right.
I was definitely
All
thinking
right.
Tesselgan is the leader. Tesselgan. Whoops, wrong one. Right. Alright, Emily, you are on deck there.
Okay.
And we're gonna keep that positive, by the way. I think that was a positive thing at the time. That's where Tesselgan wanted to be.
Okay. I'm going to say that the Temple of Mithra contracts half dozen thieves guilds to steal the Staff of Wonders from the Temple of Set. So we've got some kind of religious rivalry going on here with one temple trying to get this artifact stolen from a different temple. And of course, thank you, James.
No worries.
And they're also kind of probably knowingly setting this up for some shit to go down by sending like 6 different guilds on this mission and just seeing what happens, rolling with the fallout.
Wow, what a bunch of jerks.
And I think because they realize that this is probably going to end badly for at least some, if not most, of the folks involved. I'm going to make it a negative event. It's dark. So dark.
Darker than dark. Cool. I like it. All right, Brad, what do you got? Show me what you got.
I think that I will create an event in the same. I mean, we're on a roll here.
Yeah.
Okay, so multiple guilds are contracted. Tesselgan being of the largest guild and easiest to pull off this kind of thing, enters the inner sanctum of the Temple of Set. He's caught trying to enter, or rather, he's caught entering. He then I either want him to be destroyed or yes, Tesselgan is murdered. Obliterated, rather.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh.
By the high priestess. What shall her name be? Tesselgan. Nilara. Does she need a last name?
No.
Nah.
Yeah.
When you first
By the
say
High
Nilara,
Priestess
you don't
Nilara.
need a last name.
She's married to the temple. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I could add to it, but I think that that's.
I don't know that you need to.
Yeah.
All right, Frank. You are up, friend.
I'm going to say that that's negative, too, by the way. That
Oh,
it
yeah.
leads into the night of the blood moon.
Yeah, who didn't like Tesselgan? He's a thief among thieves.
Yeah, and it must have been the other guilds that murdered him, right?
Yeah, like maybe we all showed up for our heist as he was going in on his own, not knowing we were all going in.
So it's definitely obliterated by the priestess, but maybe not
I
everyone
mean,
knows
do we
that.
have to establish our history somewhere in this too? Like how we all met and things?
I think it's a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would think it happens sometimes around, new alliances are formed.
Mm.
All right. Oh, thank you for that, Emily. We are, because of the technical difficulties, we have to, Frank's having a little bit of issue opening the document, so we have to send it through chat, so thanks for bearing with us, y'all.
I'm going to put an event between the leader of the Shadowbreakers is caught and Tesselgan is obliterated.
Okay.
Or before the leader of the Shadowbreakers, I should say.
Before they're caught?
That seems like just a similar moment.
Okay, so after Tesselgan enters the inner sanctum and before they're caught?
Actually, where I said originally, after leader of the Shadowbreakers
Okay.
and before Tesselgan obliterated.
Okay, so after they're caught, before they're obliterated.
I want to put Criven, my character, finds his special knife that he found during the sacking. And as soon as he takes it, it almost seems as if all hell breaks loose just then. Like Tesselgan was obliterated, and then the riots for days, or for the night of Blood Moon, went on.
So, I'm sorry, can you spell your character's name for me?
Crivvn.
V-E-N?
VVN. GV.
Oh, cool.
Criven.
Okay. Alright, so Criven finds a special knife they found during the sacking as all hell breaks loose. What do you got for us, Justin?
So I'm gonna say that. How can I put this? So this is gonna be before Tesselgan enters this is before he gets caught. I want to do an event where we'll say the five of us, including Tesselgan, being the only people that survived making it through the Temple of Set, we escape, leaving Tesselgan behind.
Ooh,
To
interesting.
take the fall. So the reason we're known is because we were the guys that made it out there at the Staff of Wonder, if that's what we're getting into here. So, but like in the wake, we left Tesselgan, who was like a great guy, to get caught and die.
Nice.
Maybe then that's kind of maybe how we formed a group with each other or something.
Yeah, I was thinking our first meeting would be during the heist, and maybe we were all a part of different guilds or.
Yeah. So how can I put it? Does it have to be one sentence?
I guess not.
Okay.
Yeah, it should probably be less than a paragraph.
Okay. The Future Thousand Hands aid Tesselgan in the heist of the staff. They leave him behind to get caught while escaping with the Staff Wonders. How's that?
That sounds great.
And so is this a good or bad thing? Because this is good for us, but bad for Tesselgan.
Hey, it sounds good to me.
So, yeah, like
you know the old saying
he's
around
been dead
Zamora.
for a while now. By the end of this.
So sorry, Tessel.
The old thief saying around Zamora, what's bad for Tesselgan is good for me.
And then you can tack something on if you're the lens, right?
Yeah, only if you're the lens. But
Okay.
currently I'm the lens.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got to choose to, like, everything has to be arcane. So as the lens, I also get one more turn this round at the end of it before we move the lens down. And, well, we got a lot of good things in this first section. I kind of want to stay there. I think I kind of want to do a scene. So, we're under Tesselgan enters the inner sanctum of Set. And we'll figure out if this is light or dark afterwards. Let's see. What happened there? How did the alliance between the let's see. how did the alliance? How do I want to word this? I basically want to figure out. I want to figure out how the alliance between Tesselgan and you formed and then quickly fell apart. Because it seems like you all reached there because you were the only ones that managed to make it through the temple and all their defenses. So I imagine you all coming into there like, hey, we're the only ones left. This place is horrible. Okay, so I guess it's going to be understood that alliance formed. How did the
the alliance doesn't form until later.
Oh, not like a big alliance.
I mean-
we could have been a part of the Shadowbreakers.
Yeah.
Or
one
of the other,
Yeah.
half dozen.
I mean, I'm envisioning when James is saying alliance that it's like, it's not necessarily an alliance. It's like, look, we're all still alive. We've got to work together if we want to get out of here alive.
Right. It's not so much 2 or 3 guilds coming together. It's a moment of opportunity of, okay, we all managed to live long enough to get into this inner sanctum. We realized that the Temple of Mitra threw us all through this meat grinder. Let's all team up to get back out of here alive, and we can figure out our lives after that. You know, it's an alliance of desperate people.
Yeah.
Maybe the Temple of Mitra didn't even contract Tesselgan and the Shadowbreakers as one of the guilds, and they were just in there trying to do it themselves.
Possibly. So the question I'm going to ask...
Which is why we would leave them behind, I would think.
We'll certainly find out. So for a scene always begins with a question. And the question that I'm going to ask is, how did the fledgling alliance end? Implying that there was a fledgling alliance between you all. So that's the question. Now I get to set the stage. So this is going to happen in the inner sanctum. And so far, the things we know about this is that the Temple of Mitra contracted half a dozen guilds, which may or may not be any of you, to steal the Staff of Wonders. And we know that Tesselgan got into the inner sanctum. And we've talked about the rest of you making it there too, but that's not written down yet. That's not actually a part of the history, so it's not official. But we do know that you were aiding Tessel in the heist of the staff after this, and that you leave him behind while he was escaping. So those are things we know are going to happen. So we know where this is kind of going to end. So those are the facts we know. So setting the stage, you figure out when the scene happens, which we know. We review the facts, which we just did. Where, why, what just happened, and what's next. So I'm envisioning this in a big, round stone room with a big fire pit in the middle. I think you're still hearing the screams of thieves echoing through the halls as they fall to one trap or adversary or another as they go in this suicide mission, right? You all know why you're there. You all know what you're supposed to do. So I'm thinking I'll keep it a little loose as to who came in with who. That might be something we figure out during the course of this scene, if any of you were previously allied. But I am going to say that you all have just made it into this room in the past few minutes or so, right? So next, I get to either require or ban characters. So here's the thing, is you're all going to pick characters to play, and they don't necessarily have to be your characters. Like, I think it makes sense, but they don't have to be your characters in this scene. Requiring characters, I'm going to require 2 characters that 2 of us are going to have to play, meaning that someone may not get to play their character. I'm going to require Tesselgan, and I'm going to require the Priestess. So those 2 are going to have to be in this scene. the priestess. Let's see, we had her name somewhere.
Malara.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to require that Malara and Tesselgan are in this scene. So, everyone gets to pick a character now, and I didn't ban any characters, other than what's already in the palette. So, starting with myself, I'm going to pick Tesselgan.
Emily's next.
Yep.
I'm gonna play Malara.
Oh, damn.
Oh yeah, no, if you
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Brad, go for it, because you put Malara on there. So I will play my character for this campaign, Ulrika.
All right. Brad, I think
I'll-
you're next, yeah?
I guess I'll take the priestess. You really could have taken it. I didn't.
What's funny is I was kind of thinking about picking her too if no one else did. I don't know why. Just be fun.
I mean, it's fun to be like, I'm going to literally obliterate you.
I have some practice with Sargon
Mm.
All right.
character before.
I suppose I'll be my character. Go Criven.
So like my dude's a fence and stuff. I don't feel like he'd be down in the bottom of this thing. He'd be like, "Yeah, come to me after," you know.
Might not be.
Yeah, you're more like an info guy.
Yeah.
Let things blow over and
Like obviously for the sake of the actual game, I won't be one of those players that's like, well, my character wouldn't go with you, so you're gonna have to stay and DM separately what I'm doing in town while everyone else is out on quests. So like
I
I'm
mean,
not, you know.
You could come up with like somebody else from your guild or like your mentor or somebody who would be down here.
Mhm.
I think I think I am going to play a temple guard. Someone that's not like
Nice.
some rank and file soldier that's been charged with guarding this place.
So, and before we go any further, one of our watchers, Aaron, brought up a great point. What about the Thieves Guild? Leaving Tessel behind, is that against it? I don't know. That might be something we want to add into the scene, like, or at least, in very least, something to keep in mind.
Oh,
Thieves Guild leaving Tessel behind.
the Thieves Code.
Yeah.
Maybe the Thieves Code's a new thing that's come up since the new alliances.
Look,
The
whoever
old
left
ways
Tessel
are dead,
behind,
man.
we need to have some ground rules.
That's kind of a dick move, man.
Yeah, so no more
None
of
of
that,
us want to
okay?
be Tessel.
I mean, there's a reason we call Tessel ganning it now as a verb.
Ouch. Okay.
Does anyone even like these shadow breakers? I mean,
All right, so next, before we actually start the scene, we're each going to reveal some thoughts. Each player is going to state one thing their character is thinking about the upcoming scene. So we're going to start to the right of me. So I'm actually going to go last. And so, Emily, you're going to give me one thought that...
Ulrika.
You know what? Let me get down everyone's names. Oh, and you're already doing it. Yeah, if everyone could write their character's name by their name up under the legacy portion there, that would be fantastic. Frank, I got you.
thank you. We'll say, how do you spell your name? Your character's name, Emily.
Ulrike.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. I meant your actual character name in this. Just so it's for when I'm referring to them, I have it in front of me.
Oh, Rick. That's a cool name.
Yeah, same with you, Justin. I meant your character name, not the character you're playing in this particular scene.
My character's name is Ramesh. You want me to just write it in parentheses?
Yeah, if you could. That way,
Okay.
If I ever need to refer to him, I have it.
You.
Thank you, sir.
Here you go. For the scene, I'm playing Captain Hakaris.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ulrich, you're going to give us one thing you're thinking about this current scene, which might very well set the stage for how you just got in here, what you just did. So this kind of gives you a little agency over it.
So I'm going in there. Ulrika, I'm gonna say, is a shadow breaker. So she's going in there, feeling pretty pleased that like two of her that she's like all the way to this inner sanctum with her guild master, basically. Like, yeah, I'm really proving myself right now.
Nice.
All right. So what's Calamir thinking right now?
Am I playing?
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not playing in the scene.
Yeah, what's Malara thinking?
Oh, I'm sorry. What's Malara thinking? My apologies.
That's all right. She is pissed because she's a follower of Set, although she enjoys chaos. She's excited by the prospects of all these unwilling sacrifices to the god.
So she's already in the room and seeing us there. I'm taking it from these thoughts.
Right? Oh, she's like enjoying it. And watching all of your comrades being, either chopped in half by temple defenses or set upon by forgive the pun, but set upon by the giant snake creatures that inhabit her temple. And she immediately suspects Mitra because these puny thieves, these, urchins of the street wouldn't dare think to come and enter her temple on their own.
She knows what's up. All right, what's Criven thinking right now?
Criven is probably pretty scared at this point. He went as deep as he could go just to see if he could, curious as he is. But he's mostly scared as hell and kind of walking into this whole situation with like the high priestess herself and the leader of the Shadow Breakers. He's almost kind of more freaked out and almost thinking he should get out of there. What with hearing all of his friends die in the background and doesn't even know where his pal Calamir is.
Mm-hmm.
Calamir did. So Calamir's there, but didn't make it to this room. That's interesting. All right, and Captain Hakaris of the Guard.
So, I mean, I'm very shaken by this invasion of thieves that has been happening today. A lot of people have died on both sides. Like, I've lost a lot of my own men and stuff like that, and a lot of other probably like temple priestesses and things like that have also died as well. So right now I'm worried about maintaining a defense and probably focused on making sure the High Priestess Malara stays alive. And I've probably taken some damage at this point too, so I'm a little on edge.
All right, Tessel. Tessel is feeling like this. Tessel's having a few feelings. Tessel's feeling responsible for putting Ulrich in this situation, though Tessel hasn't revealed as much out loud to Ulrich. Tessel is feeling guilty, and that Ulrich's life is their responsibility. But Tessel's also thinking that this place is damned, that the woman in front of him in the priestess robes is more than she seems, and that there's like Tessel's thinking that Tessel isn't going to make it out of there as is, and that when the end comes, it's going to be dark. So now we get to actually get into the scene. So there's some minutia about playing scenes. The scene's going to go on until we answer the question. That's how we know the scene is done. We have to make sure that we don't contradict anything that's going to happen in the future. So we have to stay true to what we already have down. Tesselgan can't escape the temple. Criven's knife can't be burnt unless, it comes back later or something. But you get the idea.
Melara has to obliterate him.
So
Yeah.
Indeed, that has to happen, which doesn't necessarily have to happen in this scene if our answer is described before that happens, but we know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is happening. This is starts before the entering, or as the entering.
It sounds like the way we said it in our thoughts. It sounds like everyone has already entered this inner sanctum. No one's still outside. It's everyone's made it there, and that's when the scene is starting. So when it comes to setting the scene, there's no GM here, right? So we're all kind of responsible for the world around us. You can't describe what's happening around you. You can't say the walls start falling on me. But the workaround to that is you can describe what your character perceives. So, I could say Tesselgan watches as a pit of fire opens in the ceiling, right? That's totally legitimate. And so that everyone else gets to hear that and work with it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we all build on what each other says for the scene, but this isn't any of y'all's first rodeo when it comes to role-playing, so I'm sure you can handle that. Another option you have is you can start introducing something incomplete. Tesselgan watches as the walls start to waver, and then I can pass the ball to someone else that has to figure out what happens next and what that means. So, you want to put someone on the spot, feel free. If you want to add a little exposition, that works. You can always describe what your character is thinking. And just because you say something doesn't mean it's true. It's what your character believes they're saying. Possibly. They could also be lying, right?
Right.
So we can also, at any point in time, if need be, pick a secondary character that we want to play, if we feel like one's needed for purposes of the scene. And here's a really important one. Microscope is light on rules when it comes to scenes like this. There's not like I'm gonna stab the priestess. Let's roll a bunch of dice to figure out if it happens. If you want to do something to a character, the character gets to decide how it goes. Now, one of the things I think we can, even though it's not explicitly written down, one of the things I think that's understood is all of your characters survive. Otherwise, someone's making up a new character after character creation, but I think we can handle that. And there are things called pushes, but maybe we'll get into those next time. Those, it's a whole nother set of rules, so let's just keep it simple for now, right? So, just to reset the scene, Tesselgan, Ulrich, Criven, have all made their way into this inner sanctum, the three thieves. Inside, they have found the High Priestess Melara, who I imagine has just a delightfully wicked grin on her face, and Captain Hikaris, who is a little more nervous about it. and the scene will go on until we figure out how this new fledgling alliance fails. So, Tessel looks at Ulrich and looks at the other soul thief that managed to make it into the room and sees Criven standing at a door that's about 90 degrees from where they are now, like perpendicular to the circle where they are. It's on like the side wall, if a circle had a side wall. And his eyes glance back to the priestess in the middle and turns to Ulrich. This is a dark place.
It is, but we knew that coming in. Come on, we're almost there.
Is that the staff in her hand?
We can take her. I'm sure of it. And Ulrika starts to stride across the floor of this kind of sanctum toward Melara.
Captain Harkis assumes a defensive stance in front of her. Stay back, High Priestess. I'll handle these ruffians.
The High Priestess just looks down in an eager grin.
Criven knocks an arrow in his bow, just watching from a distance.
Sword and shield in hand, I engage the first person that approaches to try to defensively keep them away.
So Tessel's going to start stalking off toward his right, toward the direction of Criven, and he'll yell to Captain Hakaris, "You'll put that sword down if you don't want to die today, dog."
You're a fool if you think you're going to walk out of here.
We've gotten this far in. We've managed to avoid every trap. What could stop us now? The false bravado in his voice is pretty apparent. He's trying, though.
At those words, the High Priestess just a great laughter, emerges from her frail old body. And it seems to be much louder than it should be coming from a person of her frame. It's almost maddening.
During this laughter, you can go ahead.
Tessel stumbles backwards against a wall by where Criven is standing.
And Ulrika kind of is trying to shake her head, almost to shake off this horrifying laughter.
During this laughter, Criven almost sees it as an opportunity and lets an arrow fly at Melara.
As you do so, in a flash of speed, her laughter ceases and her robes fall off her shoulders as she pulls forth a staff and easily knocks away the arrow that goes clattering to the wall behind her.
Blessed Mitra.
And there's no doubt this is the staff.
Looking around the room, remembering the layout of such a place as this, I'm gonna inch my way towards the wall during this time to find one of the secret buttons that will release some of the overly dramatic fire sprayers from the side of the walls to try to catch the thieves.
Nice.
It's Conan, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I,
It sure is.
I'm gonna whisper aside to Criven. Do you have more of those arrows, dog brother?
That I do. And Criven pulls out another arrow and lets it fly at the guard.
Now that
Sorry,
I will let the arrow take me in the arm, but still manage to flip the switch to make the fire. Thinking to myself, damn, could really stand to have more blood in my body right now.
Ulrika just drops and hits the ground as this flame, this kind of wall of flame erupts next to her. And she, since Captain Hakaris has stepped to the side to hit that switch, she tries to take advantage of that opening to grab at the staff that Melara is holding.
She, again, with blinding speed, much faster than a woman of her age should, she slams, reaches the staff up high and slams it down, knocking Ulrika back about 5-10 feet. As a wave of force emerges from it.
Ooh.
Ew.
Devil sorcery. And I'm going to use... I'm going to start rush... so I imagine I jumped back from this wall of flame, and it gave me a few cinches of what clothing I have left after going through this torturous labyrinth to get to where I am now. And not quite willing to rush to Priestess, I am going to start rushing Captain Hakaris with my poison dagger drawn.
Ooh. I move to defend. It's clear that that arrow that I took earlier has slowed me down more than I would like to let on. But put up a valiant fight. You have poison daggers, you say?
Just one. I couldn't afford a
Just
second
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe after this heist.
Right. I was saving up
yeah,
to buy my
right.
second poison dagger.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that eventually I take a poison dagger, and die a heroic, I think I'm doing the right thing, death, but have perhaps mortally wounded Tessel in the process.
Yeah, I'll allow that. Sure. As you know, as I'm like, I imagine we tumble to the ground and I'm doing the whole like trying to force the dagger thing down on you while you're using all your strength to hold it up, and as one of your last actions, maybe up to you, but maybe like you stop trying to keep the dagger at bay and instead reach for your fallen sword and stab me as I jam my dagger home.
Yep. Yeah. I cough up a bunch of blood and some of that weird white bile stuff that comes along with having poison. And in my death throes utter the same thing that I said, "You'll never make it out." And I die in a pool of my own vomit.
So
this whole time, Criven sees Tessel and the captain fighting and lets them duke it out and just starts volleying arrows at the priestess in hopes that he can break her guard so that Ulrika can get in there and steal the staff or hurt her or anything.
Yeah, and Ulrika is like sees Tessel go down, and she's like, "No!"
Melara, High Priestess of the Temple of Set, is momentarily distracted by her fallen captain. Taking a moment, a half a second to glance over, and one of Criven's arrows just barely, like, gives a flesh wound, just a glancing blow to her face, and this sets her alight with fury. And she begins waving the staff in a circular motion, and this air around her just swirls in a cyclone of air, and even the fire is roaring around. And the arrows seem to be knocked in different directions as they try to pierce this cyclone. And over the din of this white noise of this cyclone, you hear her yell, "Your search for fortune is futile, dogs! 1,000 hands can breach these walls, and 1,000 souls shall become sacrificed to the great serpent."
Fucking nice. He said the thing.
He said the thing.
So I'm thinking Tessel at this point, though, like, mortally wounded, manages to spend a bunch of willpower points holding his guts
Momentum?
in, turns to look at Criven and Oriki, and I turn to Criven and I say, "Get them out of here. Get Oriki out of here." And I'm gonna toss the dagger to Criven and start, like, pacing to stand between Malara and the two of you.
Criven, like, beholds this crazy dagger for a second and just gives Tesselgan a nod, runs to Ulrika and just grabs her by the wrist and just pretty much starts making for the door.
And she, like, she's getting dragged along, and the whole time is, like, looking back at Tessel, and I was like, Tessel, no! Tessel, I'll do you proud.
And Tessel starts to see a face emerge from these flames in the air. Come on, kid.
Malara, seeing everyone fleeing, disengages her cyclone of power, and you just see this little old woman again, and she takes the gingerly steps down toward Tessel, and from the shadows in the ceiling, you begin seeing the shadows, like, move.
Or you can say you
no. Rather, she does. She sees the shadows, and she begins whispering with her eyes looking up at the shadows.
I would actually say
Go ahead.
that the question was just answered, and I would love to leave what happens next a little bit of a mystery that might come up in the game itself.
Ooh.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, how did the Fledgling Alliance end? It seems that Tesselgan, it wasn't a betrayal of the Thieves' Code. Tesselgan willingly stayed behind to save the others. So I'm gonna say that that's actually light.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he saved us. We didn't get the staff, but we got the hell out of there.
So that's interesting, because then that means that the staff, well, likely the staff is still out there. There were other thieves there. Who knows what happened, but it
True.
you all definitely got the staff.
And I obtained my magical dagger.
Hey.
Do you think that was your special knife that you found?
That's what I was thinking. Or maybe that, I mean, I was thinking maybe something like I saw it on the way out or something, but I actually like the Tesselgan thing.
Okay.
Right when you said he handed me the dagger, maybe he found it in there, you know?
So what do you think that dagger looks like? What's that special dagger look like to you?
Um,
Like,
I would imagine it's like jewel encrusted and very foreign looking. Like, it doesn't look like anything from around Zamora or like anybody would see that knife and be like, whoa, where'd you get that? I imagine a lot of gold and emeralds and stuff.
Like one of those like wavy bladed Chris knives or something.
Yeah, like a weird, or like a kind of like super curved blade or something.
Nice.
Like a kukri. Kukri,
Nice.
kukri.
Kukri.
So that's gonna finish that round, except for one thing. So Justin,
Yes?
you get to do something now.
Yeah.
You're
What
gonna
do I get to do?
You're gonna get to choose a legacy. So you're gonna pick something that happened during this last round
Mm-hmm.
that you may want to explore again in the future, or keep the option open, and you're gonna make it your legacy for the moment. So anything that we planned out. So let's see if we can't figure out what came up in this last round.
Let's see.
A lot of stuff about the heist.
Yeah.
Everything kind of stuck in that very first section of the heist there.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think that everything after Temple Heist came up in between Temple Heist and Blood Moon all came up in this round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This we just focused on this little area right here.
Mm-hmm. Lots of arcane stuff happening in there.
Yeah. So I what legacy am I like I don't get what event you would have me pick then.
Like you could pick so it can be an event or it can be a thing. Like the Staff of Wonders came up during this thing. You could pick the Staff of Wonders.
Yeah, I'm gonna
the
yeah, that sounds the Staff of Wonders should be like Excalibur status or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like the Staff of Wonders is like the artifact.
All right, so your
Yeah.
legacy is going to exist as a comment to the side of the page there, the Staff of Wonders.
Yep.
So now you get to create an event or a dictated scene, which is kind of like what we just did, except you get to call all the shots that relate to any one of the legacies. We only have one right now because we've only had one
Okay.
round.
I'll get you.
So I'm gonna choose a scene, I guess, that has to do with the group leaving with the Staff of Wonders, because it says they leave him behind and get caught while escaping with the Staff of Wonders.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say that the staff, while being super duper powerful and wonderful, and its power is only exceeded by its mystery, that it used up all of the priestess's life force, and she kind of shriveled up after, and they were able to just literally pick it up and walk out of there.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you came
So
back soon after whatever happened to just find her dead and the staff laying on the ground.
Or someone came back, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's how it got. That's how the Staff of Wonders left.
Oh, so it's not even necessarily the characters involved in
Yeah.
the scene. Okay.
Yeah, but it's so it's out there, and it's got a vampiric property to it too, that like it feeds off the energy of its wielder to do a lot of crazy good magic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
That's kind of cursed in a way as well.
Yeah.
All right. So that gives us our legacy, and that gets explored. Feel free to write that in the appropriate spot where that scene happens.
And
And so I'm thinking we did some great work here, but I'm thinking that maybe is anyone opposed to having another session of this?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Real quick.
Excellent.
I feel like we almost kind of need one more just to make
Oh,
sure it's solid.
Indeed. This has gone great. This has been a lot of fun. So then next time that we play, Emily gets to be the lens first, and we'll pick it up from there.
Cool.
If anyone listening has any ideas on like any images of the knife or the staff or anything they think, oh, this would be cool, feel free to send them to them. Attribution is always great. But if you would like more information on things we're doing, you can follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/crumblingkeep. Be sure to check out our website at www.crumblingkeep.com with more information on the Conan games we're running, as well as our upcoming podcast and a blog that is currently dedicated to the campaign world in which that takes place, the Isles of Samceris, so a lot of world building stuff there and fun things. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to support us, we would absolutely love that because it lets us do more things. You can go to www.patreon.com/crumblingkeep. That's Patreon, www.patreon.com/crumblingkeep. And for a monthly donation, there's all kinds of rewards you can reap there too. But thanks everyone for listening. Anyone have anything in closing?
Remember, fantasy is hardly a way of escaping reality. It's a way of understanding it.
Which, if anyone knows